Hey, what's up? I'm a diagnosed narcissist, and I wanted to make another video talking about my identity disturbance. Like, okay, what else is new? But I think I found somewhat of a decent way to comprise what the narcissistic experience is like. Now, despite saying that, I want you to keep in mind that I am not a licensed professional, so before I proceed along, you know, understand that as I say what I'm about to say. So, yeah, anyway, I was thinking about it, the narcissistic experience, particularly for me as a person with narcissistic personality disorder, and I've been able to, I guess, just summarize my sense of self in three words. It's either superiority, well, no shit, or inferiority, and emptiness. And I've noticed that I can only switch between all of these states because I've realized that not really being there, I don't actually exist in an experiential way. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to like explain this properly because I was thinking a lot of thoughts about it earlier and it started like, piecing together like really well, and I thought I should make like a video for it. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'll try. You know, when I feel superiority or inferiority, it doesn't really retain because I think I've realized that, yes, not having a stable foundation of who I am as a person, I only relate to things or events as I perceived them happening at the time. Like, if you've seen my video talking about being stuck in first person, I don't really know how to look at myself from a distance. So I think this is essentially what causes a split for like a narcissist, like ever so often. Because actually, I was having a conversation with my girlfriend and she asked me if I never get over people. And the more that I thought about that, I mean, I reached this point where, yeah, I guess I don't really get over people, but it's not necessarily like personal in any sort of way. Like, I can realize, I guess cognitively, that whatever like negative feeling I have doesn't really matter. But I guess when I think of an event and it's a particularly like negative one, I can only wear the mask that I've had of it at the time. So if I felt betrayed or wronged in like any sort of way, that kind of just comes to me until it disappears because now that I think about it, I only perceive myself in a very like hierarchical way. That's why I'm saying that okay, it's either superiority because in a hierarchical system which the world is made of, there are those on top, and followed by those on top are, people at the bottom, like, the inferiors. And I've noticed that life is essentially just a matter of these situations where you're either on top or you're at the bottom. But then again, none of it is really real. And I think this is why I kind of reach a point where I know nothing can ever retain because all of it is shallow and isn't even really real. Whether it's moments of victimization, talking, down on myself, belittling myself, or even feelings of like extreme arrogance and power and the joy of, let's say, having a God complex and whatnot, because it's the most on top of the world feeling. But you know what? It's not real because everybody loses and we all die. And I think that's pretty much where I reach my emptiness because I know all of this is like shallow and superficial. But yeah, it's strange because I thought to myself that like, yeah, nobody really perceives themselves this way in this like extremely like hierarchical fashion. I mean, I know we all do because we live in a society, and I'm not trying to come after like the SJW lens, so I really hope that I'm going to be able to, communicate this properly because obviously, there's always talks about like privilege this and like privilege that, but like I'm not really talking about that. This is more so just, I guess, pathologically, because regardless of like, let's say, any like social activism, when people talk about like, I guess, like the foundation of like a healthy self or being there, or basically anybody that's, the opposite of having a cluster B like personality disorder, I guess they still, can see the difference in terms of like, okay, this might be the unfairness of like how the world treats me based on, I don't know, let's say things that are like out of someone's like control versus how they feel about themselves, because I've realized that the only thing that I feel about myself are things that are external. So even outside of that, it's really strange because in moments of like arrogance and superiority, and what I want to tell myself all the time, I wish I could just exist in this state all the time, is that like I don't really care about what other people think, which I still do think is true, honestly. But I'm caught in this like weird paradox where it's like I've made that my identity because despite not really taking criticism seriously, well, I mean, I shouldn't say that entirely. Like, obviously, I know I have like a fragile ego, so I'm not going to act like I can't get defensive, much like anyone else, let's say, or, you know, bruised, quote unquote, because yeah, deep down I am very insecure in the sense of like I'm not really there. So I guess I just don't want anything ruining the narrative or the script in terms of who I wish to be or who I perceive myself to be. But it doesn't really matter because I know that it'll dissolve for me anyway, because yes, like what I said, emptiness catches up, because it's like I can't lie to myself that all of this is just shallow and, you know, not really real. But to go back to like I guess like what I was like originally saying, yeah, I only see myself in terms of like a ladder. And I guess when people experience this, it's more so like the world, but like I guess like that's what I mean though. I only see myself in perception in terms of like what other people are doing with me. So even if there's like a negative event that happened like a while ago and it doesn't really like matter anymore, I can't look back on it without feeling the same way that I did. It's kind of strange because I feel like at this point I'm kind of understanding that like I can't actually see things in retrospect, because kind of like that video that I made, I'm always stuck in this like first person. So I can only like, it feels no different to like wearing a shirt, I guess. I don't know. Or like let's say you're somebody that's gone through like many aesthetics to like find the one, like maybe you wore this back then thinking it was cool, but then oh, now you have like a different style, now you have like a different sort of like aesthetic, and I guess you remember how you felt then, but like it's so shallow and superficial because it's just clothes, right? It's not really, let's say, like, I guess the nuance and the complexity in which people treat personality. But even personality to me feels no different because, again, it's skewed in terms of, I have another video talking about how I'm not exactly sure how to balance an inner perception versus like an outer perception, because I guess like, you know, like pull it back to what I was talking about. I tell myself that I don't care what other people think of me, but I understand, I guess, that even having this like form of identity that I don't really care what other people say, it's still external in the fact that I must tell myself that I don't care what other people think and not just sit here and be comfortable with myself, because I can't actually sit here and be comfortable with myself because there is no one there that I can, you know, rest with. There's no one there that I can look within and feel comfortable. And it feels no different than, I guess, let's say when you look in the mirror and project who you wish you were, or like an idea of who you wish you were, looking inward feels no different to me than like looking outward, because when we exist in this external sensory world, obviously we always have to keep in mind, I guess, how we're going to look to others, how we're going to communicate to certain people, or what their rules are, like let's say like the social game or this or that. And when I look within myself, it's only tidbits of the external world that I can curate for myself because I don't sit in anything here. I can't see myself and just think, oh yeah, that's a person that's, you know, all put together. Everything that I think I am has been borrowed through some form of like external experience that, yes, feels no different than putting on a shirt and then throwing it away and then putting on another shirt, because I guess the essence of something doesn't really retain, because it always feels like there is no true essence to, anything. And yeah, it's all just shallow, and we're all just going to die, and like emptiness is truly the only thing that like actually retains. So to sum it all up, I don't see the complexity in personality, to be honest. Like when people say, "Oh, find out who you are, or do this, or like do that." Like to me, personality is as straightforward as, okay, superiority, inferiority, or like nothing. And not even from a pathological sense of like nothing, like we're all just going to die. So to me, this is all extremely hierarchical. So this could be like, I guess personal feelings in the sense that like I'm trying to make sense of like my own NPD, but like even just in general, like I just don't think that like this ever changes about the world. So like I exist in a manner that's, purely nothing other than like the social constructs, because I have no true subjective experience, and I'm just detached from everything. And there's just no, I don't know, essence, because I don't think I actually see any essence to life, and everything here is just made up. That's why there are so many ideas. That's why there are so many like, yeah, ideas, ideologies, because like we're all just like making stuff up. But I don't understand how people are able to deceive themselves into thinking that these things that they're making up is actually something, like personal. it's it's as arbitrary as like walking into a store and, oh, that's a nice jacket, so I'm gonna put it on. And yeah, it's like existing every day just feels like picking an outfit, and it can look nice, obviously, but it's like that superficial high, I guess, of like picking out like an outfit or something. I mean, unless you're into like fashion, let's say, you're probably not like obsessing over your clothes like constantly. Like, you get it on, you talk to people, you experience, you like, I guess feel these like personal things or like whatever. But I'm just like, nah, I don't feel those like personal things, because as shallow as putting on something that like you like to wear and like nothing beyond that, that's the entirety of what my life feels like. Or if you don't enjoy how something looks, but like, okay, like, because like this is what I mean, because like, for example, even if, I don't know, let's say you're like gifted something of a clothing item and you don't like it, it's probably not like the end of the world, right? Maybe you could just feel like it because like, oh, how do people wear that, or how do people make this kind of like fashion? But it's just like like if you're me and that's how you feel towards everything, that like everything is a superficial high, everything is a superficial like low, then it's like, what, why wouldn't you understand that nothing is just, you know like nothing is actually there to truly be like lived. Like this is all just a lie. Like we're all just like decaying, and everything's just like running out. So it's just like, yeah, there's an idea of me, there's an idea of the world, but like that's all it is. It's just an idea. Nothing actually gets actualized. Even the things that we think are actualizing, they're just things happening, not actual actualization.